we're next to a very old vineyard of País. Is this the case, right?
That's right. It's a strain that must be around 80 years old, more or less. It is inside a vineyard plot that has mainly sensalt. The plots are not homogeneous 100%. They are interspersed with different varieties.
They are vines that have adapted phenomenally here for 300, 400 years that the Spanish Jesuits brought. They have adapted well here because of the soil and also the climate. What kind of climate do you have here?
I would say a Mediterranean climate. We have approximately 6 months of the year where it rains around 400, 500 milliliters.
Now, and because before it was almost 1,000.
Before it was more, the quantity of rain has been decreasing. We have 6 months that are dry, from October to March, to when we harvest, with some rain in the spring, but very little.
The soil here has a granite base, but describe what else?
Well, it's a granite base, and then there are soils that are red in this case. Clay, which retains a lot of moisture. This is very beneficial for the vineyard. It can accumulate enough water to be able to provide water to the vine gradually after spring and during summer. This allows the vineyard to survive and produce at low quantities. It is very difficult to maintain the vineyard here with this bush training of the vines. The control of weeds becomes very difficult because the vineyard is very low, close to the ground, and it's not possible to mechanize. It's very hard. So, all work is done manually. The first works that start now in June. We clean the vine surroundings by hand. Then we clean in between vines with the use of horses and moving the soil, practicing 2 channels. Then in the months of September and October, cleaning again by hand to finalize the weed control.
You mean by hand with hand tools, and then with the help of a horse as well, right?
Right, the horse helps in between the rows, but closer to the vines you have to do it manually.
It could be done with herbicides, but with these good vineyards you don't do that, right?
No. The idea is to reduce the amount of chemicals that are used in the vineyard.
I wanted to ask you about the grapes. I know you work many. You also do a lot of experimentation. You're actually the first winemaker of Guadalajara. You're very recognized here. You have many achievements. And you even have Cabernet Sauvignon in a trellis system, which is not common here. But I want you to talk about your main grapes, which are 2 whites, the Chasselas and Semillon. Then you have 2 reds, the País and Cinsault.
Well, Chasselas is a strain that adapts well here because it is a strain of intermediate vigor. It does not need irrigation and grows well overall. And well, productions are low. But here we are talking about productions from 5,000 to 6,000 kilos per hectare.
And Semillon?
Semillon is maybe a little more because it is a larger and a more robust plant. It has a very deep root system. I would say that it adapts very well to all these characteristics.
And of course there is no discussion about the País and Cinsault. Since they have been here for 400 years, they should adapt perfectly.
Of course, the País is older. Cinsault came a bit later, but it's already adjusted to this climate, to this type of soil, and to the amount of rain it gets. Furthermore, with the time we've known them for, we know very well how to handle them. The Cinsault is a little more susceptible to mildew, but we can control it with a more frequent application of sulfur. But we have good healthy grapes, so we have wines that are of very good quality from this strain. Ten years ago, in the Atata Valley, specifically in this winery, we only did 2 wines. a white wine and a red wine, and both were made with skins. White wines were made like red wines. Starting in 2015, the facilities of the winery began to improve, and we began to separate the strains we had, which we had here our whole lives, the white strains. Since my ancestors, meaning my grandfather and my father, we've had 3 white strains. We have Chasselas, Moscatel, and Semillon. And with reds we have Pays and Sinsalt mainly. We also have some other strains that have been here a long time, like Aramon for example.
How did you make the white wines?
Well, to make the whites we need to work them cold, to keep the aromas from the grape. It is important to have cold equipment and a small container to avoid rising temperatures too much during fermentation.
Do you give the whites on oak? Do you put them in barrels?
Yes, but very old and used oak. The wood effect in these wines is very gentle. With the whites, the grapes are harvested by hand. They go in with full branches into a pneumatic press that we have. Then we clean the must, and then it's fermented at cold temperatures for a period of time.
For how long?
15 or 20 days, more or less.
And then you do let it macerate for a while on the lees, or do you separate it and bottle it?
Well, I leave it with its lees for a bit, and then in some occasions some of it goes into oak. Then I make a blend of 50% of what's left in the tank and 50% of what goes into the oak. We also do battonage, moving the lees to provide the whites with a little more structure. Then we do clarification, stabilization, cold, filter, and finally we bottle. That's what we do for the whites.
What about the reds?
Well, for the reds, the main variety in this area is Sinsalt. We don't harvest Sinsalt very ripe. 12.5, 13 degrees, no more than that. We do this to harvest fresher grapes, to have a lighter wine. It is harvested by hand. The grapes arrive at the winery and we leave them here overnight so they get a bit colder. We do this so it doesn't have so much temperature from the field. Then we destem the fruit. Over there we macerate in a steel tank. Then we add yeast. When we finish the fermentation, we press and blend the wine with the free run. And then a bit of it goes into a barrel, and from there we make a blend. We also do the malolactic fermentation in the barrel.
How long do you age the wines in barrels, the Sinsalt for example?
Just 6 or 7 months, no more.
At the end of the day, you look for fruity wines that are easy to drink. They've given you many international awards. You're very well known. It's very curious because you don't go out and sell. People have to buy from you here, but still, your wines are very recognized.
It's just that we put a lot of love into it. Everything that is production, we work very hard to have very high quality grapes. Grapes that are very clean and healthy. After that we worry about the details in the winery to make a wine that consumers like a lot.